Hello, dear seekers of truth and light. This is part 6 of the series John Newbrough, the False Prophet. This particular edition focuses on how Oahspe was injected with horror, and by that I mean the horror that is in Sapphah. And again, I have to keep repeating this in case people don't know. I think Oahspe is one of the greatest high spirituality books ever published, and I'm glad it was published, but we have to face the fact that a lot of people are turned away by the content in Sapphah, and it's very natural that they do. I think we also have to go ahead and consider that since so very few actual faithist groups have taken off and continued with much success, that it is in fact the connections of the content that is in Sapphah that has actually pulled the Oahspe faithists down, because there's been continual problems, conflicts, and it hasn't gone very smoothly for most of the, 140 years that Oahspe's been around. And my basic premise is that if you would remove Sapphah material from Oahspe and publish it, then you would get rid of all the lower dark spiritual realms that are connected to Oahspe through Sapphah. I'm not saying that people look at Sapphah and they go crazy or anything like that, or that they become bad people. What I'm saying is that there are, just like all religions and cults, they use symbols, special rites, and when those symbols and rites are connected to bad things in the lower spiritual realms, i.e. hell, some of the hells, whenever you think or see these images, think about these images or see these images or think about the words, you are putting yourself to a degree connected to those realms. Now, I'm not saying that people can glance at it and suddenly be connected and things are going to go bad, but I am saying that those faithist groups that have used this Sapphah content, the symbols, the strange words, and the rites, they have connected themselves to these realms, and things have gone bad almost every time. And they always say, gee, what bad luck, it's the Druids again attacking the real, true religion of Sapphah faithists. But no, the problem has always been the connection with Sapphah, or it's been one of the problems. I'm not saying that there haven't been good faithist groups, because there have been. I'm thinking of the Eloists first, and there's been a few others too. At some point, I will get to that in the histories of the post-Newbrough faithist groups, and there have been some very good groups, but so many have been troubled. And I don't want to get too much into the details. I don't want to go to that so much now. The main thing is that I want you just to know that I do think Oahspe is a great book, but it's been held back. It should be more popular than it is, and the people who have embraced it should have been able to achieve more together than they have. Okay, well, let's look at some of Sapphah. I consider Sapphah to be kind of a Trojan horse poison that was injected into Oahspe. It has its defenders. They say, oh, gee, this is the history of languages and ancient religions, and gee, isn't that cool? Isn't that giving us good spiritual knowledge? And of course, that contradicts Oahspe itself, which just basically says, forget the past as far as the things which don't mean much, like the symbols and the strange rites. You're supposed to make your own rites. You're supposed to communicate directly with the Creator. So there's no there's no sense in keeping Saphah around because we need to move forward, not backward. I'm not saying we shouldn't learn from the ancients. We should, but we shouldn't embrace their rites. We should embrace their symbols and their terminology. We have to move forward with that and just communicate directly with the Creator. Especially, we shouldn't be using priests and rabbis and long rites, which we just read when we should be praying directly to the Creator. That's Oahspe says as much. So that's the other problem, is that the content of Saphah contradicts the core principles of Oahspe, which in itself shows you that the whole thing's wrong. We shouldn't be following ideas which contradict what Oahspe wants to achieve, namely spiritual association where there's no master, there's no priest, there's no rabbah telling us how to think and what to believe, who's better. We're all equals, okay? And that's the way the Creator is our a true leader. Our true leader is the Creator. Okay, well, anyway, again, I love Oahspe because it explains the divine process by which mortals and spirits and angels can progress through service, and the focus on the Creator is right on, and that's what we need to do. Okay, so I do believe, and I will prove, I don't just believe it, I know it, that a lot of these symbols are basically witchcraft, demonic in essence, and also Masonic. And again, I don't think all Masons are bad people. The top leaders are, though, because they are required by their own protocol to do bad things, and most of them are really bad leaders around the world, or maybe they're not actual Masons, but they are members of sister associations, of which I will go into more later. Okay, so look at the images, and they don't make you feel happy. They're scary, okay? The first one on the top is like, what? It's some Egyptian symbol from the far past, and what's going on? And then there's a snake, scary. And then there's some kind of, I don't know, half man, half demon kind of thing. And what's the point of that? What's that gonna do for anyone? It's not gonna make people want to read Oahspe. Okay. So the other point is, the linguistic software analysis proved it wasn't even Oahspe in the first place. So not only shouldn't Saphah be there because it wasn't channeled, it was written personally by Newbrough, as the analysis proved, but it's got the negative effects which I've already described. Okay, so it's not because Newbrough was able to hack Oahspe, it doesn't mean we have to accept it. We can change things. We can create a clean Oahspe that it resembles more what it was before it was tainted by Newbrough's garbage. All right, on this page, these images, in fact, the ones on the previous page too, are from the Kadeth is, and I will not go into the history of that, what it means here. I just want you to look at the images and say, hey, the top one, kind of mysterious, not exactly bright. It looks like it's got a hatchet or something, and there's an X, which always seems to mean death. There's another X below that, which is also bad. And then there's some sort of crazy pig man, the third picture on this page, and not good. Okay, so I have written more explanations on these pages. You can pause the videos and just read them. It says mostly what I'm saying now. For those of you who like the information to be read, it's there for you if you want to. Okay, the reason there's so many different religious cult information in Saphah is because the Masons have a very major dogma, which is we're going to take every esoteric, ancient, uh, cult, spiritual path. We don't care if it's witchcraft. We don't care if it's some kind of idolatry from ancient lands. We're going to put it, we're going to study and use those symbols because it makes us feel special as the chosen ones of God. And like we can serve both God and the devil at the same time kind of attitude because we're that great. Anyway, these symbols do get demonic. So the thing you have to remember is there's no way the angels would want this in Oahspe. I mean, they don't want images which represent demonic stuff or are sexual in nature or violent and gory, which is what Sapphah presents to us, okay? They want it to elevate our thinking, not degrade it. And that's what Sapphah does. And again, all these symbols connect with the lower, dark, hellish realms. Okay? So the angels would never do this. So that's just another sign that we shouldn't be honoring Sapphah in any way. It's got to be taken out. The sooner the better. Whoever's publishing Oahspe, please don't publish Sapphah in it again. You're doing what the lower realms want, and you should not feel nostalgic about Sapphah in any sense. It's very negative and evil, I would call it. So there's images on this page A4. You've got another serpent, and you've got the symbol of death, and then below that you've got some kind of monstrosity with horns. And that's not making people feel good. It's not leading them to do good works or to speak with kindness and love. I know everything I'm saying is negative, and of course we want to be positive, but someone's got to speak the truth about all this and not say, well, let's just go along with it. The emperor has no clothes, folks, and we need to take Sapphah out of Oahspe. Let's see, what else can I say about it? Again, Sapphah promotes cultism. It promotes priests and masters leading their congregations, and that's not what Oahspe is about. And we need to have a brand new day where Oahspe is clean, pure, and just full of truth and not darkness and evil. I know some people might say, well, you're really criticizing Newbrough. That's a bad thing. We're not supposed to criticize people. That's what Oahspe says. Right, except you'll notice that that's on a personal level, okay? It's not about when people stand up and are going to mislead a lot of people. You're supposed to speak the truth. I mean, Oahspe does it itself. Oahspe has given very in-depth descriptions of all the people who did and all the false gods. I mean, that's negative because they told the truth about all the terrible things these false gods and false prophets and false priests were doing. It's given in the histories of Oahspe. And they have to do it because they're trying to set people straight. They don't want people to believe that these certain religions are a true path. They want people to go to the Creator and not through the false idols that the religions have presented throughout the thousands of years of man's existence. I know some people might say, well, you're really criticizing Newbrough. That's a bad thing. We're not supposed to criticize people. That's what Oahspe says. Right, except you'll notice that that's on a personal level, okay? It's not about when people stand up and are going to mislead a lot of people. You're supposed to speak the truth. I mean, Oahspe does it itself. Oahspe has given very in-depth descriptions of all the people who did and all the false gods. I mean, that's negative because they told the truth about all the terrible things these false gods and false prophets and false priests were doing. It's given in the histories of Oahspe. And they have to do it because they're trying to set people straight. They don't want people to believe that these certain religions are a true path. They want people to go to the Creator and not through the false idols that the religions have presented throughout the thousands of years of man's existence. And again, I've shown what, whenever I try to get people interested in Oahspe, they see Sappha and they just say, that's enough for me. This is really strange. Looks like witchcraft. I mean, on page 5 you got this, I don't know, type of star with a snake again. Then below that, next one, some kind of monster. You can't even tell what it is. And then another snake, and then I'm not sure. That's the other thing. If you have images of things which are incomprehensible, how does that make anyone feel good? Do you want people to say, well, here's a symbol from Oahspe. It's in Sappha, and I haven't got the slightest idea what it means. And it's very obtuse. It's very complicated. I mean, if I see that fourth image on the bottom of page 5, I'm thinking it's probably some kind of demonic rite of some kind. I don't know what to think about it, but it doesn't make me think of beauty and the angels in the higher heavens. I can tell you that. And that's how everyone feels about it, who's really being honest. Okay, on the next page, we have some of the symbols. These are not actually in Sappha, but these are symbols of the Masons, and these correspond to what is in Sappha. You'll see the bull, Ta, and you'll see the Aries ram, which is, both of them look very demonic. You'll see the moons, the cycles of the moons. There has been a movement, maybe in the last generation, about, oh, the moon rites, oh, let's worship, faith should worship by the moon rites. Well, so do the witches, so do the Satanists. They do too. And there's no way that's a universal principle, since most worlds have more than one moon or no moon. It doesn't make any sense. It's not some kind of cosmic attuning, right, where we'll be one with all the universe because we're worshiping according to the moons. It's just a tool of control, okay? And you'll see in the Sappha symbols the Masonic pillars, Jachin and Boaz. In fact, some of the faithists have even created literature which is copying it even more openly and using Sappha words like Alif and Hua, and there's Taurus and the Aries again, and the two pillars with the Book of Ben, what do we call them? The Children of Jehovah. Anyway, you know about them if you've read the Book of Ben. Okay, so anyway, so the inspiration has not gone in the right direction with this. I've met people from various faithist groups, and they've been obsessed with these symbols. And it's as if by studying these symbols, you're becoming a better person. Well, that's not, it's the opposite. You're losing your freedom to think freely, and you're connecting yourself with the lower realms. And you're not going out there and helping people the way you should be. You're spending time on stuff that doesn't matter, which will only darken your attitude towards all life. So again, this is all stuff we need to get away from. Well, now we're getting in, I have a new section here, and this is basically disgusting symbols and ideas. Okay, there's no reason these things should be in Oahspe. Okay. So they have just strange creatures. I mean, you know, in the astral realms, they're supposed to be like kind of like monsters, sort of, which are created from the bad thoughts of people and spirits, and they take on a life of their own, and they can cause a lot of damage and cause diseases and accidents and all sorts of things. Anyway, this one's called Home. I'm afraid even to say it, actually. And lots of bad times, earth eels, winter, plagues, poisons, physical troubles rather than spiritual. Well, doesn't that help people become better? No, not at all. And there's another strange insect kind of monster, not sure what it is. Again, you can imagine the kind of creature that's walking around in the demonic regions, and it's called Jew. I mean, oh great. Is this really being anti-Semitic or something? I don't get it. It doesn't sound like any word from some ancient English that I know of. And then the next one is just called W. How descriptive, huh? Again, the people who made these symbols and these words, they're from the lower realms. Maybe you can give some credit to Newbrough and his editors for imagining these things, but it doesn't. It's not like high intelligence here. This isn't like connecting you to some new ideas that are going to transform technology or bring in a new kind of spiritual upliftment process that are going to help people free their minds. It's not doing that. The W, I mean, what is that? Well, we know what it is because they have text for it. All for men, symbol of Oan, rites of sodomy, homosexual activities, pleasures for pleasure's sake alone, belief that organs of pleasure are given to be fully indulged, belief that man is the highest expression. So again, this is not something angels want to talk about. I mean, Oahspe has a section where they're rescuing hell and the spirits there are engaging in sexual practices. They don't even want to talk about it. They'll say, we can't talk about this because we don't want it in Oahspe, okay? But here it is in Sapphah. They are talking about those very things. So it's another contradiction. No way the angels wanted this in. No way the Creator wanted this in, okay? And anybody says, well, we're mentioning all the bad things so people will know not to do them. Really? You think people need to see them? Well, I don't think the present movies in these days are showing all kinds of things that are violent or sexual. Do you think you don't think there's enough of that in the world already? You don't think that those kind of things tend to make people prove or want to bring more violence and gore and idolatry and sexual matter into their lives, not less. So this is not helping anyone. It's definitely bad. But people overlook this. They say, oh, well, it's in Oahspe. I don't know what it means. Well, you do know what it means if you just look at it. You say these are terrible pictures with terrible ideas. Okay? And wake up and reject this. And here's a prophet, leader of a people, enlightened man, called me. Again, very moronically labeled. And that does not look like a man. It looks like some kind of half horse, half demon. I don't know what it is. Again, there are plenty of astral astral entities in the lower realms, which are basically monstrosities, and this seems to be just another representation of one. And you don't want to be attracting these to your aura and to your being. Okay, here's from the tablet of Emeth Chava, central author. Central altar, and that basically is like the initiation rite for the Sapphah faithists, and the whole plate's really pretty gruesome. I'm going to show some of the images from it. And anyway, you've got this plate. It's got strange demonic kind of symbols. It's got three men who we have no idea who it is: Abraham, Jesus, Moses. Who are they? And why are we having an altar with men? Aren't we supposed to worship the Creator? Isn't that the all highest? What are we doing here? Why are we honoring all these strange symbols? Even around the altar itself, there's some strange, chicken feet kind of symbols out there, and it's not making you feel better about life. It's just making the whole thing look very occult and demonic. Nice job, Newbrough. Nice job, dark spirits from far below. And I showed a close-up of some of the images on this very plate. And again, they're monsters. There's three there. None of those are monsters. They're not people. They're not going to make you feel better. They just aren't. Okay, so why is this in Oahspe? Why are we all agreeing that this is no problem? It is a problem, and we shouldn't have it in there. And this is on the plate for becoming initiated into some kind of quote-unquote faithist group, Sapphah group anyway. And then we have from the ceremonies of the sun. This is not all of them by any means, but we've got one that's about being buried alive. We've got one about piercing your hand, and one's about having your heart pierced, and one about being burned alive. This is sort of a Newbrough thing where hey, if you're really spiritual, if you're really highly advanced, you can do these things. You can pass a sword through your hand or your heart, and you can heal yourself, or you can be buried alive or burned alive, and you're going to come back alive. And hey, isn't that cool? Totally wrong focus. There's no way this is part of the angelic resurrection process. No way. This is just witchcraft, claptrap, voodoo, I don't know what you want to call it, but it's totally, totally, totally not a message Oahspe should have in its pages. It's not helping anyone anyway. It's disgusting and horrifying. Okay, speaking of other horrifying things, let's go look at the plates, some different plates. Number 24 from BNA, organs of sex. They said all the living are begotten by indulgence. To worship the organs of indulgence is the highest worship. Really? And we need to have that in Oahspe. Why? Ridiculous. Next one, new. Organs of sex. They said all the living are begotten by indulgence. Okay, anyway. So this is weird, you know. It's about having sex with men. Could be animals based on what I see in the images. Then we have Hojos this is from Samoin, and a human face with horns, and who knows what it means. It's not a nice looking picture. Looks like another, I don't know, half man, half animal kind of thing. Probably that's prevalent in the lower dark realms. I don't doubt that such things exist. As men become more evil, and women become more evil, they kind of turn into animals in the dark spirit realms. And that's not something I want in my consciousness. A thank you, no. And this is from the tablet of ancient Egypt. We've got the X of darkness, the skull of death, the snake of poison, the sword of war, the axe of murder, and cult initiate and cult master. Wow. So this is another, all the tablets are really horrifying if you really take the time to study them. And this is not protecting anyone, it's endangering people. It's bringing spirits in who make people go mentally ill, if you want the truth. There has been a history of people going mentally ill here and there, and it's not helped our cause. Okay, I don't want to name names or anything, but and again, I'm not saying look at these things one time and you're going to go crazy. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying it's a bad influence, and because we can prove that Newbrough put it in personally without misrepresenting that it was even in Oahspe as originally channeled text or images. Because of that alone, it should not be there. But the fact that it's also very horrifying, it's very violent, gory, sexual, deviant sexual, in fact. That's not good. That's not good at all. We don't want that in Oahspe. It's going to have all sorts of terrible effects for people who have accepted Oahspe, and it's going to drive people away from Oahspe. Next, we're in BNA still. By 2 and 1, a sign in the order of Oan in mockery of Anramaya. Well, the picture's not really, it's more like an animal, I don't know, sort of a demonic horse or serpent or dragon, I'm not really sure. It's called I don't know, is that bisexual? I really don't know. 2 and 1, you'd think it was something to do with being bisexual or a person that has two sexes. I'm not sure. Oan is homosexuality perversion. So, I mean, again, this is not supposed to be, I'm not here to have a political anti-LGBTQ plus video. And I know a lot of nice people who are, in fact, homosexuals and are friends. And I'm not going to get into the fact that I believe they could be better people if they weren't, but at present they are still good people. But here the focus is just on sex, okay? It's not about the social interaction. Anyway, so another one, Goem, goddess of lust. Oh yeah, we need that in Oahspe, don't we? We really need that. He Gom, a sinful man bound in lust, also from Vienna. He worships the harlot. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. That's what I want in Oahspe. No, we don't. We don't. Everyone has to face up. These horrifying things, they hide them. They're really small, but they're there. And it's like they're making, it's like someone decided to make fun, or it's like a cruel parody of Oahspe. It's like a black mass or something. Hey, let's decorate this book that was channeled from the higher heavens. Let's just mock it. I think that's what the dark spirits who control Newbrough were doing. Basically, they're mocking. That's the other issue too. They're just mocking the ideals of Oahspe. Another serpent, another deadly, a symbol of death. We don't need it. We just don't need these kind of scary things in Oahspe. This is from M. Agatu, and a lot throughout all the place. There's these weapons to kill people. There's swords, there's knives, there's axes, there's hatchets, and there's a couple here. You can see that the one's called Por, Chop, Pop, An, Ose, Ox, and Axe. And that's another problem. They write these symbols with their name, and they're so poorly transcribed that you can't even be sure the English alphabet pronunciation of it. Pretty sloppy, you know. It's certainly not the work of angels. There's the fact that it's just a terrible image that no one should ever have to see for even one time. But then the words go there, and you're going, what? Is that an O? Is that an A? Is that a P? Is that an H? I don't know. And it's just a complete waste of time, and worse than that, it will bring you down. And people say, well, don't look at it. You don't need to look at it. Of course you don't need to look at it. But why is it there in the first place? We should never accept that this should be there. I mean, you want me to walk into your house and start drawing these symbols on your walls or something? I'll say, don't look at it. No. Oahspe is supposed to be a holy, divine, it is, I suppose. It is, okay, but Sapphah isn't, so that's why I'm using less than 100% here. But anyway, it shouldn't be there. We don't have to put up with this. There's some other scary symbols. I won't say the words because it's doubtful how to pronounce them, and it's hard even, they're not very legible. But you'll see images of like sort of demonic insects maybe. Then there's another snake and a dagger or a sword again, and then there's some sort of scary hand or claw, and very dark, looks like a demon kind of thing. And then again we have more axes, more snakes, more claws, some really ugly man, ganbao, like half man, half lion, got strange, dangerous teeth. And then some other more strange animals there is a snake there, I think. The other ones, I couldn't tell you what they are. They're probably astral monstrosities of some kind. And then we get to the zero. There will be Bogui and another one called Bogui. These are from two different places. I think one's called the Ceremony of Zero and one's just called Zero. And anyway, they're spelled the same. But they both agree that they're pretty bad. One's the goddess of lust and one's evil spirit. Sure, any goddess of lust would be an evil spirit. But that doesn't mean we have to represent it in Oahspe, okay? That doesn't make it easier to be a good person. It doesn't ward off. These aren't protection symbols which drive off evil spirits in any sense or form. If anything, it will make you more susceptible to dark spirits. Key ceremony here. Again, you'll see hatchets, just like in the other place. Daggers, swords, there's more coffins. This coffin's got a snake in it. Again, lots of snakes. You'll see snakes. I mean, the snake is basically considered an image, a symbol for demonic leaders, okay? And that's not cool. There's this black boot. This is a famous symbol in Masonic symbols, and it basically means it's kind of a curse, which you're going to crush your enemies with your foot. You've got enemies, and your power, you're so strong you're going to crush them under your feet. That's not a good thought at all. Going back to Samoin, we have a naked woman. That's not, what's the point? You can call her a cow. That's pretty derogatory too. Oh, she's a cow. Okay. That's moronic. And it's wrong, misogenic. Okay. More snakes. There's a skull. There's another. And then there's that strange half man, Hojas again. I'm sorry I put it in twice, but anyway. Again, death, murder, violence. These are not things which we're supposed to be peace-loving, harmonious people, and that there's Sapha throwing that in our face. Oh, but this proves that we're better now because the past was bad. I think that's a really lame, moronic argument. Well, there's all this evil in the past, and we're going to show it in the law, Sapha, so people know that we're not going to do that. We're going to improve. That's such idiocy to say that. You don't need to have all the wrong things in Oahspe so you won't do them. There's plenty, believe me, you can open a lot of books and see a lot of TV shows and movies. You're going to see all sorts of bad, evil things happening. I think we can focus on all that is pure, beautiful, and good instead, and not focus on this kind of crap. The plate of Ihin, and we've got some kind of blood oath. You prick your thumb. That's very Masonic. We've got a demon. Again, there's also a Masonic trowel there. There's again a snake, death. There's some sort of, the next level, we've got some sort of, I don't know, it could be a lobster monster, astral, I don't know. The next one looks pretty much like a sexual act. I couldn't tell you. And the other one is too, I believe the text is even, again, some kind of sexual perversion. The fourth one from the left is, I don't know what it is. There has been effort, Harry Hilton published a book called Sapha for Mortals, and he said, hey, I don't know what anything says. So he spent years cleaning it all up and trying to write the correct captions under them and to make the picture look more legible. And it's because it was like, a small child had drawn it. And you're going, how does that make anyone feel better about Oahspe? You don't know what the heck it is even. Okay. Alrighty. And now we go to the Tablet of Finis, if I'm saying that right. Again, we have some kind of torture, fire, or maybe it's having some kind of barbs being piercing our hands. Second picture, we've got a demonic kind of altar there, and always good to be worshiping Satan. We need some representations in Oahspe, don't we? There's some kind of insane man. He's a king, I know, in the story. The story isn't that bad, actually, but the pictures certainly make you feel, it's really creepy, creepy, creepy. And then the next, all these are faces, they're all creepy. And they don't, all of them just scream, this is not good. This is not making anyone feel good about Oahspe. It's not going to make me feel good. I don't want to look at it. And they're rites, basically. These stories have been used as rites through the original faithist, quote-unquote faithist churches, lodges that Newbrough established. They were used. Maybe they're not used now, but they were. And actually, I take that back. I actually was a member, I was not a member, but I made friends with one of the Cosmic Church members. I won't say the name of the person, but they showed me plates from Sapha which had no rites with them, and they had made a rite out of it, okay? And I will go with that. I will go to that maybe in a later video, but so it isn't like these weren't used to the present day. They have been and are used to the present day. And I mean, I agree there's not many people doing it because there's not many members in the Cosmic Church, but they were like the official Oahspe group in England, the Cosmic Church. And it's not good. It's not good. It's just, we don't need all this. We just need to focus on the angelic heavens and the good that's there. Okay, the last part, I have a special section for Bogan God, which is big contradiction to Oahspe and even to itself in a way. Okay, anyway, this is the plate of God is basically a lion with some other animals, the star and the moon, and it's basically worshiping the stars. And there's the idea that there was a god. Bog means lion, and Gan is a man, lion, man, and then God is the God, God. These are really moronic spellings. Like, oh, I guess I'll show that's an old language by just making it sort of sound like English. And you have to believe that something that's supposed to be 2,000 or 3,000 years old from Persia is somehow has words, so many words that sound actually like English. That's ridiculous. Anyway, and there's the Temple of Skulls, Golgotha, another cute idea, huh? We need to see a whole temple made of skulls in Oahspe. That is not what we want. Okay, then they give the whole right. Isn't like, it'd be bad enough that they just had just the image, say, well, this is some cult religion and there was a lion, some kind of lion god, and they killed people in their wars, and they sacrificed people who weren't believers, and they made temples of skulls for them to worship this lion god in. And we're not like that at all. We're good people. Well, then why did you put, like, I don't know, 1,000 words of this right into this actual part of Oahspe? I mean, I'm afraid even to read it to you. I mean, you can pause it and read it for yourself. But it's really bad. I hate using the word disgusting or demonic, but that's basically what it is. Okay, I'll read the green part anyway. My sire built a temple, 100 guin square, with skulls built it, and feasted on their souls. Okay, doesn't sound very heavenly or angelic. And then, anyway, it's very gory, and yikes. The master and the initiates take of their blood, which issueth from their wounds, and mingle it together, and lick with their tongues the commingled blood, saying, drink ye it in remembrance of me and of Bog on God. Wow, that's very terrifying. And now comes the Ahadas, bringing forth strips of flesh, human flesh, from the thighs of those who were slain in the ceremonies, and they bring them to the master, and he putteth the strips of flesh, human flesh, under his own thigh. And then they swear oaths using the human flesh. Thereupon the master takes the strips of flesh and eateth them thereof, that is, their cannibalism, and handeth it of it to the initiate, saying, this is the flesh of my body, eat you of it in remembrance of me, and Bog on God, for in my blood and flesh and my body have established the JKOE over all the world. Thereupon the initiates take the flesh and they eat thereof. Okay, so it's a ritualistic, this is a description of ritualist cannibalism and mass murder. And yeah, I don't really want that in Oahspe. And you wonder what the heck's going on in Newbrough's mind and in the Druge's mind, who concocted all of this and wanted to put in Oahspe. Well, they're trying to disgust everyone, probably to send people away from it. I mean, if you read this in some other book, let's say this was in the Christian Bible or the Quran, and you read that, what would you think of the rest of the book? Would you say, oh, well, let's overlook this and just, well, the other parts are good, so I guess I'm going to accept this? No, you would not. You'd be infuriated. You'd be disgusted. You say, well, any supposedly spiritual book that has these words in it is garbage. It's terrifying. It's demonic. No way to have any more to do with this. So, hey. Okay, I could stop there, but I'm just going to keep going. I've written other words. You can read them. You can pause the video at any point you want. Okay, but I'm going to go to the end of this. It's not a short little thing either. They're just like pounding it in, because they really want to make sure everyone who could possibly open to this pages in Oahspe would be disgusted and revolted. Or maybe they're trying to promote cannibalism. I'm not sure. I really don't know. The master and the initiates. On the tablet write we our names in blood, and by these bones and skulls we swear. This would be a good horror movie, wouldn't it? To preserve the holy words of the feast of flesh and blood. Definitely horror movie. Okay. The women now come forward, having cloth about the loins. I guess that's all. And they bring the dead men and place their bodies on the altar of sacrifice. Okay, so they're having a ritual and they're going to burn the flesh of the men, I guess. The foul smell of the burnt flesh of the Oahspe, and then they behold the spirits through the smoke. They eat of the smoke and of the foul smell, which are the food of spirits of darkness. So spirits, apparently, the dark spirits eat. They like foul smells, and it's kind of like a food or drink for them. I guess the aroma from alcohol they can get drunk on through those they control, and they can also get foul energy from the blood of the slain or from the burning of the slain. And I suppose eating the flesh of the slain would be another way of getting very dark energy, as well as destroying the spiritual life of the people they've controlled. Anyway, I can't even finish this. Which are the food, okay, and when they have feasted satisfactorily, they take of the smoke and the foul smell and carry them hot to the companions, of whom their number is endless. Oh, I think this is another way that diseases are spread. Anyway, there's plenty of horror movies that have these literally have these things in it nowadays, I'm sorry to say. But before you could watch movies that had these kind of things, you could open a Oahspe and read about it. Isn't that great? Doesn't that make you proud? No. This should not be in a Oahspe. This is an outrage. This is blasphemy. And there's no way this stuff should be in there. I don't care if it's some kind, no, it's ridiculous to say, well, we're trying to show a contrast between what a Oahspe is nowadays and how cults religions used to be. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. In such details? No, this is just to create a lot of... The dark spirits are laughing. They're saying, ha, it's like a big graffiti upon a Oahspe. It's like taking a bunch of crap and slamming it into the book, and so people open it. They say, gee, this is terrible. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to... How's a faithless am I going to walk? Oh, here's a Oahspe. Take a look. What? I'm embarrassed. This isn't a Oahspe. I'm ashamed of it. We all should be. Anybody who has places any value in the spiritual value of Oahspe should want this out of it. So anybody's going to publish a Oahspe from now on, take it out. Take it out. Don't be ridiculous. Don't close your eyes to the truth. I'm immaculate, can not do wrong, idolatry. By the way, there's more bad stuff in Sapphah. I put this in here maybe as a precursor. I'm going to describe the idolatry, the honoring of false gods in Sapphah, which is ridiculous. This Balgan god is an example of idolatry where, what the heck? Why do we need this in here? We're supposed to worship the Creator, not this lion god who is saying whatever I do, whatever I say is the truth. By my will do I make wrong right or right wrong. Ha! I now demand 1,000 skulls, and they're basically exhorting their followers to commit murder, start wars where they slay people and then sacrifice them to their false god. Fine. It goes on, and there's more about 1,000 skulls. Bolganga demandeth a pool of human blood. Oh, that's a really sweet, nice phrase, isn't it? 1,000 skulls in the blood for our king. All hail. Yeah, that's what I want to read in a Oahspe, I'm sure. No, this is ridiculous, and it's going on a long time because it's in a Oahspe so much. I'm kind of rubbing everybody's noses in this because I don't want you to walk around saying, you know what, it's okay. It's just okay. No, it isn't okay. No, it isn't okay. Anybody who says this is okay to have in a Oahspe needs to... They need to look in the mirror and say, just what the heck do you really believe? I mean, I don't want to people, it should not be there. And you can say ignore it, but you shouldn't ignore it. If someone goes into your living room and puts a pool of blood there or starts eating human flesh or does worse, you're not going to say just ignore it. This is supposed to be this is a holy book, but it's less holy because of what's in it. And we need it out. I mean, I don't know how to make it any clear to any more. I have a hard problem even telling you this, but it has to be done because everyone's ignoring it. And here's another long passage. It's kind of basically what I said, but you can pause the video and read it. But anyway, almost 150 years this has been in Oahspe. No one's complaining. Why not? Why are all the people who say they're experts on Oahspe not complaining about this? It shouldn't be there. I keep repeating myself, but it's the truth. Well, anyway, that's the video for today, and I thank you for listening. And there's more horrors to come. Not the same kind of thing. The next video will describe the false gods that are honored in Saphah. I really do believe all the other parts of Oahspe are great, and I don't think we have to accept this as to continue to leave it in Oahspe. There's no reason we should. I mean, it would be one thing if Newbrough was a wonderful person, and he isn't, and he wasn't, because of all the terrible things, which I will get into through other videos. But basically, he was a scam artist, and he did bad things, which I'll get into later. And on top of that, we've got these horrors of Saphah and the idolatry, which comes straight from the upper echelons of Masons. I don't want to upset people. I don't want to upset people who really think the Masons are great. Well, they still don't allow African Americans into their ranks for the most part. So, and that was going on for several hundred years, especially during Newbrough's time. So, I don't know about you, but I would never join an organization that was racist. And anyway, but Newbrough did. He did do that. It didn't matter to him at all. And Newbrough even put racist verses into Oahspe, which we'll get into at some point. So anyway, I'm going on too long. I know that, and I hate focusing on the negative because I know it's better to focus on the positive. But when something's so bad, you can't just let it go. If we do, what if there was slavery in America? You could say, well, America's a great country, and we've got a great constitution. And, okay, there's slavery. I mean, don't dwell on it. It's negative. You shouldn't be thinking about slavery and racism. Let's just do good things. No, that's not how it works. You have to remove all the traces of slavery and the bad stuff and the racism. You can't just say, well, and you have to make amends for it, basically. So it's the same concept here. We cannot allow this to go on with Oahspe. Let's clean it up. Thank you for listening. May the Creator bless you with happy, positive thoughts that are so much described in Oahspe outside of this particular book, this chapter, Saphah. Okay, God bless you all with love and happiness and peace. Thank you for listening. Bye.